Hi everybody, and welcome back to Rob in Real Time. I'm Rob, and here we are in real time. Today we're going to review the movie. I'm going to give you my little shortcut review of a film by Guy Richie and starring Jason Statham. Let's get into it. Let's get into this review and a video of Wrath of Man. Alright guys, so how's it going? I'm your pal Rob, and let's talk about Jason Statham's Wrath of Man. Okay, so what I think of this movie, what is it about? Well, this is a heist movie to remember. I compare this movie, it's really good, guys, because, and I'm not just saying that, but there was some moments where people were leaning in their theater seats. When I went to the theater and saw this, there was some good high tension, high action moments, some thrills, and there was some lean in hard moments where you're like, I mean, talking about like if you're gaming, like the action was so good in this heist movie. I would compare this movie to Wrath of Man to the movie Heat with Val Kilmer, Robert De Niro, and Al Pacino. And this was a classic movie. This movie got an 8.2. This movie right here, they got rated a 7.4. I don't think so. I think this movie, to me, I liked it a little better than that rating. So my score is going to reflect that because of the excitement level. There was kind of some interesting things about it that I'll go over in a little bit. So let me go over some points, okay? So right now, guys, I'm at UnitedArtistReleasing.com, and it's / Wrath of movie site / Wrath of Man. Okay, so this is the actual website. I can't show the trailer like always. They'll just ding me on it. But I can actually I can tell you what it's about. So let's do that. And hopefully it has a short synopsis, so that way an interesting take on this, okay? And also, if I go over the story too much, like, you know, you're not gonna want to see the movie. So I kind of leave it kind of nebulous, so you can watch the movie, because I want you to watch the movie, and otherwise, why am I doing these movie reviews? I do recommend, and I kind of want people to go and watch the movies and leave a comment below and tell me what they think, you know? I forgot to say that entirely in my last video. Anyway, so let's go and read the synopsis, okay? So here's the synopsis. So Jason Statham is starring. It's about a mysterious wild guy, new cash truck security guard, who's played by our boy Jason Statham. This is probably one of Jason Statham's best roles since Snatch or Transporter, or even that guy, even the character in Expendables. But Transporter was really the one. But here he doesn't use his high flying kicks. So don't go in with him playing, thinking that he's going to use kung fu. Like he's more of a methodical guy. So here, Jason Statham surprises his co-workers during a heist in which he unexpectedly unleashes precision skills. The crew is left wondering who he is and where he came from. Soon, the marksman's ultimate motive becomes clear as he takes a dramatic and irrevocable steps to settle a score. The thing about this is he's a guy who claims he's from security, and he's working for this armored truck company. So they didn't really explain that it's a cash truck security guard. So yeah, they should say it, armored truck. You know, that's what they should have said, armored truck security. The name of the armored truck company was called Fortico, which is kind of an interesting name. Anyway, so he works for this company, but it's not all what it seems. Like I was saying in Nobody, this is one of those movies where you have to let the story settle in. Okay, so I pulled up the webpage here. It's a story. This plot line is in this terminology that's called Medias Res, which is a story that starts in the middle and then kind of goes up and finishes like the second act, then circles back to the first act, and then goes in and like if this, and then you catches up at the end of the act where we left off, you know, leaving you to see the remainder of it, which would be the third act. So if you, I don't know if you get me, but it's like it's a circle. It appears somewhere in the middle, and then it connects, and they connect you to the next act, you know, and then you fully understand what's going on. It's because of the mysterious background of Jason Statham's character. So he also had, like, nobody was a lot like this movie in that regard, but just with two guys having going on a revenge quest. So that's what those two had in common. But the story has a plot twist here. There's a couple of plot twists here, and I'm not gonna reveal it. There's more to Jason Statham's character where the story kind of changes. It has an intense action scene that I dare say this, it rivals the heist scene in Heat, where there was a big shootout. Everybody remembers that big shootout in the movie Heat of the heist. This movie has a heist that's so cool and different, and it's never been done. That I can recall. The only other movie that I can recall that had anything to do with security, like cash trucks, was the beginning of one of the Lethal Weapon movies, I think 2 or 3, and War Wagon with John Wayne, which that was a really long time. So they don't use like the armored truck angle a lot. It's hardly used, but I think that's a good thing because it keeps it fresh. I like the whole armored truck heist aspect of this movie, and it's directed by Guy Richie. And let's go into the cast here and take a look at the cast, so that way you guys kind of know. There's some interesting folks in there there's Josh Hartman, which we all know Josh Hartman. He was like one of those early 2000s and late 90s heartthrobs. Jason Statham, it plays H, which if I remember correctly, his name, or at least his alias, is Hill. H isn't really, it's kind of like a moniker. He really has a different name. There's this guy named Bullet who drives the security truck with him. Hollow Bob is a guy who I think he opens the gates. So there's a bunch of different interesting characters. Who's played by Bullet's played by Holt McCallany. I'm sorry. Hollow Bob is Rocky Williams. Boy Sweat Dave is Josh Hartnett. Jackson is Jeffrey Donovan. Oh yeah, man. That's where I noticed that interest. So the one of the antagonists in this movie, this guy, Scott Eastwood, he's son to Clint Eastwood. So look out, Hollywood, we have a new Eastwood in town. He did good. So I think Eastwood's Clint's boy did good here, Scott Eastwood. He did a really convincing job being this particular antagonist. So, and Jason Statham's character is someone he lies more in morally ambiguous. He is not what you think. He's there for his own motives. So, he's not clearly a good guy. He's not clearly all bad. So it's strange. He's like if I tell you, I'll ruin it. Like I say, it's kind of tough to review movies without giving away too much. They had a pretty strong cast. All these actors did a good job playing their roles. They all did an excellent job. Never broke immersion, so I was fully invested in watching this movie. I was there for the ride. So I think this movie was well directed. I only think I have a criticism in one scene when they were calling on the police to assist, that I believe there was just there wasn't enough because of the stakes that was involved in the heist and the amount of money that's involved, because we're talking about armored trucks. There's a scene where they call for the police for backup, and they respond, but the team is so small, I'm like thinking, what? So that right there, it wasn't like Heat, because in Heat, like, there was polices all over the place, all over those guys. But here, I guess it's because of 2021 and the defund police movement that really is shown here as much. That's where I was kind of like, what? You didn't see very many cars and just one helicopter and one SWAT truck and a couple of cars, and I'm like, man, that's the one critique. I'm like, that I found a little hard to swallow, you know. Everything else, the action was superb. Even if there was a big team of cops, it wouldn't have even mattered much in the story and the heist and how the thing was set up. It would have just been a little touch harder in the escape, but you know, it wouldn't have made a big deal. So you know, you can even with the small team, it's fine. All in all, let me think this over. I also forgot to mention Andy Garcia is in this movie too. So what an interesting. Andy Garcia plays an interesting character to H. He's kind of like a guy who calls in favors for H. So, the movie, when you watch the movie, it'll make sense what I'm saying. I'm sorry I'm trying to be cryptic, but I don't want to ruin the movie, guys. So, let's go on to, but the action scene, I swear, it's comparable to this movie, Heat. I mean, there was the shootout scenes were so good. I'm thinking it's Heat level good. So, wow, man. So, on my rating on this, on Jason Statham's Wrath of Man, I'm giving this one, I'm pretty much know I'm going to watch this movie again. I just think the title is a little bit, it's going to be hard for me to remember the title, but I definitely going to try to remember this movie. The action scenes stick out so good. I'm going to give this a solid 4.0 out of 5 for me, which is pretty much, I got a 1 to 5 scale, so I give this one a 4. It's a really good movie. I give it it's an A. I think I give it like pretty much almost it's like not a perfect movie, but there's some things like what I've said with the trucks that the police response, which I found was a little odd, but all in all, the movie really had a good pace. It kept you invested. The stakes were high. It had a good plot twist. It has. This movie uses medias res, which is kind of storytelling, which means it starts in act, like in the middle, and then circles around and goes to the very first of the act, and then comes back and connects in the middle, and then on the third act, it finishes through with the rest of the movie. So it has one of those storylines come in, and kind of like how Quentin Tarantino likes to shoot some of his movies. On Wrath of Man, I give it a strong 4.0 out of 5. And thank you guys for hanging out here at Robin Real Time. Also check out my Service Gamer 76 channel here on YouTube, and I have my other social medias like Twitter and for Service Gamer, and also what else do I have? Probably like Instagram and stuff like that. So I got to do a better job promoting that. So I'll see you guys again next time with another episode of Rob in Real Time. Here I am up in the balcony, and I'll see you again. Bye bye.